In an increasingly volatile, uncertain, and complex world, companies face the problem of recognizing which skills are today relevant, will stay relevant, and are relevant in future. So we got challenged by Roche how to build capabilities to enable companies for the future. We started this thing with a problem statement, and we asked ourselves, how could we recognize relevant skills today and for the future? And if we keep in mind that Roche has multiple generations in its company, so let's say 5 generations, they have different learning preferences. So how do we account for these different learning preferences in order to also do this in a resource-efficient way?
Yeah, so new technologies continually arrive on the market, and they are gradually requiring more and more advanced skill to operate them. This creates some sort of a circle of uncertainty for the big companies. It puts them under pressure to keep their employees up and competitive, and their employees may always be kept up to date with the current required skills. Our team developed a tool to predict and future-proof skill based on existing data with a feedback-driven algorithm to stay competitive in this fastly changing world.
Okay, so maybe to make this a bit more visible to you, we introduce you Leah. Leah is a 47-year-old woman working at Roche in one of the labs. And Leah can do her task, but she's not really happy like in the way she's doing it. She doesn't feel efficient enough, or she thinks that she suffers some skills. And our solution or our approach should help to identify the necessary skills or the relevant skills for Roche on one hand, but also on the other hand to improve Leah's skill in order to be future-proof.
Yeah, so this is why we developed an advanced AI algorithm that does exactly that. The diagram on the screen describes our algorithm. The left part describes the data sources that we use to train the model. First of all is the competitor, market, and technology research that we do in general. Secondly is a personality test that we would like to perform on the higher leadership of the company. Thirdly, we use internal messenger analysis, which is a widely available tool now to analyze Microsoft Teams messages and other software applications that the company may use. And lastly, we also would like to use feedback employee appraisals to close the feedback loop.
And with this data source or with this foundation as a database, our AI, the green thing in the middle, should evaluate and compare the skills which are relevant, the pain points in the company, and also should compare it to the skills which are presently there, and then give a recommendation which skills need to be improved, and based on the recommendation which skills are necessary, the already implemented learning management system or learning management experience from Roche can offer these trainings. The employee can then implement these newly learned skills into his daily work, and then get into his in a feedback system we come on now.
Yeah, so for that, I'm delighted to introduce you to Roro. Roro is an advanced AI chatbot that now, imagine you're Leah and you're working in the lab and you do not have access to a computer or to a big screen to learn. You can just easily open up your phone, unlock it, and access the AI voice assistant and chat assistant, which will help you and provide you with drastic improvement in your both soft and hard skills. You can ask it any question regarding these skills, and he will answer you in a detailed answer. Now, this is how it looks like from the manager board. Let's say this is the distribution of the Roche headquarters and the factories across the world. we can see that each region and each factory has its own challenge: integrity, efficiency, or project management. This is what the higher leadership of the company can see. And for the team leaders, for the specific small team leaders, we can receive this sort of spider map, which describes the skills that are still missing, the skills that are persist and are well studied in the team, and what should be improved in the future. Now,
okay, to summarize it, so first we had to, or the company has to recognize the problems and the required skill, and based with these 3 pillars we have here, the algorithm should propose the necessary skills which need to be learned or reskilled. And an important aspect of that, it's a closed loop. So if you attended a LMX course, you implemented in your the new skill in your daily habit, your coworkers can give you feedback about this chatbot system, Roro, and this feedback gets fed back into the input system of the database, so you can compare, was this training effective enough, or is there more training sufficient, or are other skills getting relevant? Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
So, firstly, kudos to you. Please, may I invite all of the team here, please. Thank you. And so, necessarily, it's as I mentioned, it was an enterprise-wide context, and while they were having discussions, so it's easy to get into a lot of creative innovations, and it was at a time on the stage there was like, what is the implementability of it? Because at an organizational context, there is always a clear limited resource, and not just in financial aspects, but in other aspects also. And I think this is where I was really surprised now that till yesterday there was a little bit of when we were in discussions, like, what is the implementability of all of this? And what I really liked is how you tied back the loop. And what I like also about the senior management, because that is one of the core asks, is that the senior management would have some decision quality inputs there. So that skills map that you put across, I think that's really ties in the loop. Admittedly, there would be a lot more iterations. And guys, these people have been working just since Wednesday. So considering all of that, I think it's a really, really good effort in this direction. And any questions from the audience? Yes.
And you probably know I'm going to ask this in terms of the bias piece. How are you getting from the as-is to the to-be of what the future needs? When you're using things like leadership assessments, there's a lot of bias in that because of how it's been built up over the years, with predominantly from a gender lens, a male population, predominantly from certain, there's a lot of bias already built in. So how are you really building that picture of to-be and not building more bias into the senior management populations that just look like one lens currently at the moment? I think you know what I'm talking about.
So we have these different inputs, but the question is, how much do we weight each input? So, for instance, we could weight like the leadership input a bit less, and let's say we import more the market research, because maybe we can see there like pain points, or maybe in a certain business unit you can see there are problems in presenting something, or so we can weight the different topics or aspects.
I think there's a need to look at the core data to make sure it's representative. I like the different inputs. It's just to really need to look at as is and to be and where that data comes from. But I do like it. It's just a call out to make sure that the future doesn't look like the past.
Yeah, sure.
We have one more at the back. Yeah. Would anybody have a take on it, or?
I think I will have a take on it. First of all, the employees will be fully informed about the information that we take. It will also be kept only on Roche's side, so no external companies, the data will not be shared with external companies. And what was your second part of the question? Sorry. Well, for that, we developed Roro, which is the interactive tool for you as an employee to provide feedback, to get access to some courses and everything else that is needed to power the system. The use of Roro is, of course, under your decision. The boss can force you to use a tool.
Is your question who's that? What the problem is? Like from who defines what the problem is? Okay. For instance, if you use Microsoft Teams as a company, you have access to multiple analysis functions. So, for instance, you can search with prompts, let's say, for business English, and then you can compare that with a structured sentence, and then you can see how good your the English or whatever of your employees actually is.
Admittedly, it's I get where you're coming from, and I think it's a good point to discuss in a little bit deeper way, considering the time limits. But wonderful work, guys, and once again, a big hand to